Welcome back. Welcome to this section on identity and access management, or as it is universally known in the cloud world, IAM. Now, IAM is the fundamental bedrock of your AWS security, and this is the first service we are going to learn. It's the gatekeeper who can determine who can enter your AWS account, and once they are in, exactly what they are allowed to do as well. So let's dive deep on how we can simply understand how IAM works. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that IAM stands for Identity and Access Management, and it is a global service. We already understood what global service simply means, okay? And it just simply describes who you are and what you're allowed to touch, okay? So everything in AWS starts here because without IAM, the door is locked. All right. So the first time you want to create an account on AWS, and if you haven't created an account, you can visit aws.amazon.com to create your account. Now, when you create an account for the first time in AWS, what you have just simply created is the root user account. Okay, that's the first thing you should understand. So this root user account is the default account in AWS, and you should not use it or you should not share it out with anyone. This is like the ownership key you got when you first signed up. It has the power to do anything because it's so powerful. If we lock it away and stop using it for our daily work, then nobody can simply access it, right? So we lock it away and stop using it for daily work. You don't use it for your everyday tasks. Okay, in that case, we need to simply create another account within our root account, right? So inside of your account, you can create another account for yourself or for other users, and this is usually called the IAM account. Okay, this now stands for Identity and Access Management Account. Okay, so before we really dive deep into all of that, so whenever you've created multiple accounts for different people who you want to allow them manage your AWS account, okay, you can, for example, let's say we created an account for Alice, we created for Bob, we created for Charles, we created for David, Edward, and then we also created for Fred. Okay, so these all people which you see here, you can decide to put them inside groups. And as we can see here, for example, Alice, Bob, and Charles, they are inside the developer group. Okay, the same thing as David and Edward. David and Edward are in the operations group. And you can see Fred is just all alone here in this case, right? So this is something you should understand, that when you create users, you can put them inside groups. And users are just simply people within your organization, and they can be grouped. Or sometimes you can just leave a user this way, but it's not a common practice to do that. Okay, so one thing you should also understand is that groups can contain users, just as this example here. Okay, you can't have another group inside a group. Okay, you can't say you want to bring this operations group inside here. It's not possible. You can only have users inside a group, not other groups in this case. Okay, and a user doesn't have to belong to a group, just like my friend right here, Fred. Okay, and the user could also belong to multiple groups. Okay, so if you look at the diagram here, if you look at Charles, okay, Charles is inside this group called the audit team. Okay, and Charles is also inside this group called the developers. So Charles is inside two groups, the audit team and then the developers. The same thing as David too. So David is inside the operations group and David is inside the group audit team group too. Okay, so in simple terms, a users can belong to multiple groups, and that is very possible. So these users which we have created, we usually like to give them permissions, because if you don't give them permissions, you allow them to do whatever they need to do, and that is bad, right? So in this case, we simply need to talk about what a user can do. And what a user can do, we simply need to tell AWS what we want a user to do. And in that case, we need to assign them what we call a policy. Okay, we'll talk about policy more right after. Okay, I know the box that you actually see on this right hand side might look scary, but it doesn't have to scare you. It's just a digital permission slip. Okay, and this is how policies are usually written. It's written in a format called JSON document. I don't need to understand this. Okay, it's just simply giving specific permissions to a user. Okay, and that's just simply it. Okay, and this is the most important thing you need to understand here. So you can give this permission to a user, or you can give this permission to a group. Okay, so anybody inside the developer group, they would have some specific permissions, and maybe anybody inside the operations group, there are permissions that assigned to those in the operations group. And then if you are just a single user, we can also give you a single permission to do anything in AWS. Okay, so that's one thing you need to know here. And again, this is simply called a policy. Okay, so inside the policy, there are different permissions. Like this one, you have another permission. Okay, you have another permission. Okay, so multiple permissions are usually called a policy. And an example is looking at it here now. You don't need to understand this. This is just simply saying we want to allow an EC2 describe. Okay, and that's it. And let's say we want to also allow a service called elastic load balancing, and they can perform describe on it. Okay, so it's just simply saying we also want to allow a service called CloudWatch, but we only want them to list the metrics only, or we want them to get something, maybe get the statistics from maybe our AWS account, right? So this is just very simple to read, but you don't need to understand it. So you can either allow or you can simply deny. Now, the last two things you simply need to do is that these policies define the permission of the user. Okay, which is simply what I've just explained now. Okay, so based on the permission inside this policy, okay, you can simply allow a user to do certain things. All right, and then you should not give more permission than you need. So in AWS, you apply the least privilege principle, which simply means don't give more permission than a user needs, right? Otherwise, if you give them permission to do anything, they can possibly delete everything. You don't want to just give them full permission, right? If someone only needs to read a document, don't give them the delete everything button. It keeps the account safe from mistakes, right? So that's one important thing you need to do. If you only want a user to read some certain things, don't allow them to create or to delete or to update something, right? So that's what you need to know about AWS, and we will practice this in the next class.